Okay, so we are here with Locky and Jack. Locky has been working with myself for around 4 months, myself and Jack for around 2 months, and we've got a very, very impressive result. He's now a coach inside of Born to Close because we've been that impressed with his abilities. But we want to just break down his story from start to finish, so far in the sales world, and show you the trials and tribulations it really takes to become a high performing closer who makes a lot of money.
Let's jump in then, because this is part two of the interview. So if anyone wants to hear a little bit more about Locky, you can watch part one. But we're just gonna go in this interview on the actual milestones that led to his last few months in high ticket sales. So let's start from the beginning. Let's talk more about this. 2024 to August 2025, you did door-to-door sales and we're making about 4K USD per month, right? What was your mindset at this point? Like, did you know about high ticket sales? Were you wanting to get out of door to door? Or like, where were you at this point?
I was enjoying learning the skill. So it was like my first taste of sales. I was in Melbourne for a year. I moved out of home. I was planning on just playing football and studying, but then I had an injury that ruined the whole season. So I had to get a job and I landed in sales and then took off with door to door. I guess it was a way to come out of your shell, let your personality flourish and actually see your skills. Started to believe in like law of averages. A lot of people, but the same high performers day in, day out, yet everyone says the same thing, yet different people get the different result. And then I set a couple company records, national records within my first month or two. And then whilst I was in Melbourne, I was bound there with a lease for 9, 10 months. It was good and I continued improving, but I did know that obviously on a base plus commission, there was a cap to it. And I knew that if I wanted to leverage my skills into somewhere where my earning potential would reflect that, the online space was where I wanted to end up.
Do you think the door to door gave you like good foundations for high ticket sales?
1000%. I don't think I would have had the same success I did if I came into high ticket sales and that was my first experience with sales. Just communication skills, being confident speaking, I guess a sense of delusional confidence, which is needed as well. Not taking anything personal, detachment from the result, especially door to door. It's like heavily stigmatized. You get told no, fuck off more often than not. And just understanding that's part of the process and the person that can get told no the most and come out on top is going to be the highest performer. So
Yep.
coming into that and having a massive trust the process, just think long-term vision is I think what's helped me a lot. I see a lot of people come into the space who are very emotionally attached to the result too early on that get in their head and then when you lose your own battle internally, you're never gonna be able to project
Yep.
um, a new framework onto someone else.
So we'll obviously talk about this later, but with Born to Close, we obviously look at state, skill, offer. It sounds like because of your experience in door to door, you were able to develop the internal state a lot. And really what you needed next was just the right skill and the right offer. So let's keep going. Let's see. August 2025. So this is when you actually get into high ticket sales. And
Mm.
what happens here? You join a mentorship.
Yeah, I knew there was a fella from Sydney. He ran an appointment setting mentorship, which the appointment setting content and skills itself is very good. Like I can't fault it, but I knew that I had higher aspirations than that, and I wanted to leverage my sales skills. So I guess actually, knew I could trust it, and so I had a chat to him back and forth, and I was like, essentially, mate, I want to leverage your network because I know that you've got connections, and I know the value in connections, and it's who you know, not what you know. So that was my ticket into the space, always knowing that I wanted to be in sales, not behind a appointment setting screen.
Mm.
Mate, it's about who you know and what you know at the same time.
True. Sorry if you disagreed with that. I think it's both.
Yeah, mate, because imagine you know like someone, but you're just his like little retarded cousin. Like,
True.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was a very good and valid point.
yeah. All right.
All right. And then So August is the mentorship, and then about a month later, you join your first offer that you're on now, the offer that Daniel and I are managing as well.
Hmm.
So walk me through that. Like, how did that came obviously from that connection, and then what was kind of like the first few steps you took at that company or this company, sorry.
I believe it was like my first day. I got on a call with the founder one night, and then I was like, okay, what are the next steps? And he said, well, you can start tomorrow. It's like, okay. So immediately came up with some bullshit that I could tell work. Uni was getting really busy, had to take time off, all these fun stuff. And then I started on unqualified calls. Obviously, no risk to the business owner. Their borrowing capacity, they were not qualified.
Mm.
It was to get proof of concept and essentially playground mode. I could make mistakes, learn the process without any performance pressure that you put on yourself. Within the first week, just over, the founder was pretty happy with how I was performing, insofar that he fired the qualified closer, jumped back on calls himself, and began integrating me into qualified calls slowly.
Did you see that at the time that that offer was a place where you could make what you made this month, which we'll talk about in a moment?
Yeah,
Why?
because I knew the lead flow was there. And I guess from the start, I would reverse engineer my numbers. And I knew that if I could get to the level where I'm taking X amount of calls per day, closing at X rate, like at the start, when I'm calculating these big numbers, it seems, I guess, a bit unrealistic. But I knew that it's not plucked out of thin air, it's bound by stats and numbers. And fitness is
Mm.
obviously something that I've grown up with. So I have such conviction in the offer and believe in it so much, which I think is such an important part. I think a lot of people don't have success with their offer because if they get an objection, they probably half believe into it because they don't actually have so much conviction in the offer. But yeah, I definitely knew that this was one that I was looking to be within the long run and not kind of flip from a first opportunity and look at the next best shiny object.
All right, and then let's see, your first month in September, you did about 2.3K USD. So
Yep.
where was your head at here? Like, what were you thinking?
I closed my first deal on my eighth day in the role. I was playing silly buggers for about 2 weeks, so it came decision time. So I quit work. I didn't tell my parents because they obviously wanted what was best for me, and like the safer option was just working a stable job. But I knew I had higher aspirations, and then so I closed one, two, three, four, five deals on the back end of September from the 11th, to take my first month to around, yeah, 2,500 US, as we said. So it was that point I was getting, I guess, confidence and proof of concept that if I could do that in my first month, it's definitely worth the effort and the long-term reward.
And then next, let's see, around October is when Dan comes in and starts working with the team and with you.
I was moving back to Canberra at this point as I was moving city and packing up where I was living in one side of the country, moving back to the other. I missed probably half a week and then slow to integrate back. There was a bit of a performance dip towards the middle and back end of the month, and it was at that point that me and the founder had a chat. It was like, okay, well, we need to improve performance. It was that point I really bought into the offer and the owner as well as a person. He was like, I really like you, and I know you are good enough. We just need to come together and find a solution together. So it was at that point that he had seen Dan and heard of him through obviously his results on VShred. I think he sent me a full call review on YouTube, and we're like, yeah, let's reach out.
What do you think of the call, mate?
Average. Reluctantly, we reached out.
Sick.
What started or like what changed? What started new when you started working with Daniel?
For me, the biggest thing was a structure. So as you mentioned, I guess my state was for the most part dialed in. It's obviously improved, no doubt about it since coming in, but it was actual a framework that we could plug and play, implement in, and have a proven system that you follow this. Do that to the best of your ability, and the result will come. It's like stop worrying about everything else. With full conviction that this framework and following this system produces these results. So if you focus on mastering that, those results will come. So I guess decision fatigue, I could actually put all of my attention and focus into mastering the skill at that point.
And then October, as we mentioned, had a bit of a dip.
Hmm.
But then November, we have a big boost here up to 10K a month. So this is your first 100K cash collected. Is that right?
Mm, correct.
And what do you think? Like we just kind of talked about a bit about it. Like obviously you had a good state foundation. You were on a good offer that had the potential. You then start dialing in the skill. But what really changed from like October to November, would you say? Apart from like having the structure, like what else changed?
At the start, you get into it, you view it as like, oh, I need to make some sales to stay afloat here. Like, I'm trying to beat my income at my old job, doing those calculations in your head. But once you get to a point of, I guess, comfort and confidence in your skill that you know you are going to outperform, you are going to get the result, you can kind of shift your mentality to actually focusing on what
Mm,
the outcome of the conversation should be, which should be helping someone and actually seeing them as a person and trying to help them and their result. And that detachment, no internal, I guess, pressure and thoughts and anything of this nature that you put on yourself, and just coming into like each day, just talking with someone about their experiences, and they'll buy into you first, and then obviously, therefore, the outcome.
mm.
I think that really helped as well.
So then it sounds like you had like a good state foundation. You're on the off-road potential. You had skill, and then once you kind of dialed in the skill, you also then were able to focus more on state, like being more of abundant state and actually like
I
trying to
guess
help the people you're talking to. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it was, if I were to try pinpoint it, there was two like elements to state. My initial state coming in was confidence that I knew that I could do it and I could be a high performer. But then the second part of state was actually like the detachment, the objective, the outcome, and actually approaching each call with the right character, the
Yeah.
Yeah.
right personality, and giving each prospect what they need.
Because I'd argue that like, and I know we haven't spoke about the numbers you hit this month, but I would say that because your state had the good foundations, that's the only reason this results happen so fast. Because most of the time, other programs bring people in who have got a crap state, teach them skill and offer, and then they fuck themselves for so long. But
Mm.
because you've done the hardest, the most important thing first, obviously you still earned it, but you've done the most important thing first. Offering skill is actually fucking super easy to give someone,
Yeah. Mm.
really. So I'd argue that the reason you've got these faster results is because you already had the foundational state skills, and that's what most people lack, and that's why we heavily talk about inbound to close.
Mm. Yeah. December was a bit lower because I think this was just the company did less revenue because of the holiday season and ad spend during the holiday season. But then, fuck, I just kind of spoiled it here. Then we have a big jump. So, Locky, what did you finish in total cash collected and then commissions in January 2026?
187,000 cash collected US and just shy of 25,000 commission US.
Let's go. What was like your close rate as well?
My close rate on everything was 43.
43% close rate, over 188, almost 190,000 cash collected. And then with
Mm.
the bonuses, since you finished first on the team, you finished at like 25K about commissions. As Dan mentioned, you had really quick results relative to what we usually see with people. So what kind of was going in your mind during the month of January? Like, I know you had already just hit like a 10K month, but were you expecting this quickly to like hit a month at like 25K, or like what was kind of going through your head as you were getting these deals over the line in January?
Yes, I did expect or believe in myself that I would have such an outcome in January. Transparently, I was pushing for 200, but I knew that my biggest bottleneck coming into January, I had obviously offer, state skill. My bottleneck was call times, which have improved tenfold. Essentially, I was not efficient and obviously wasting time there, which was reducing my capacity to earn a lot when obviously my live calls per day was low because that was going over. And so dialing that in, which meant I could take more calls. The close rate remained same, show rate remained the same. It just means ultimately more revenue.
It was funny, mate, because when you reduced your call time, I'm pretty sure the only advice I gave you was, yeah, mate, just make sure you just start pitching after like 25 minutes now. Like just make sure that's like the cap you give yourself. And
Yeah,
then and then it just went down straight away. Because like we
yeah,
just was like, mate, like just pitch then. Like you'll fig. you'll naturally put the right time into each section if you just commit to like I've got to do it in 25 minutes.
Yeah,
So yeah, January, as we can see with like your journey here, like you at each stage were like gaining the three things you needed. And then January is where it like all kind of came together, right? Because like the company, the offer you're on also was doing well in terms of like doing more ad spend, more leads coming in and things like this. But at this point, you had the state, the two parts that you mentioned, and you had the skill, right? So just kind of like a meta point for the audience listening. Like this is why we hammer these three things so hard is because if Locky, for example, didn't have the state and he let's say he joined and when the company was doing really well here, but he didn't have the skill or state, he probably would have only made like 5K or so just because the offer was doing well. And then if Locky had the state and skill and the company like we saw in December doesn't do as well just because of ad spend and stuff like this, like you're not going to make the 20 plus K a month. So it's really when you can line up all three parts when you go from or you get to be a closer who's making 20K plus per month.
I'd agree.
Always.
State like with the people in the space that you see come and go, the most underlying thing that I observe is an insecureness in their own ability and they're not operating from a state of abundance. And then they're even viewing success within the business and company as internal threat, not actually happy for other people doing well, despite the
Hmm.
fact there's enough leads to go around for everyone. Everyone can succeed, but when the state's not dialed in, you're actually operating from obviously a place of scarcity, but
Yeah,
you don't have good intentions because you're too selfish in your thinking.
Yeah.
yeah. And then a lot of people as well, they just catch like an offer pump where maybe they'll join right when the offer's on the up, ads are working, etc. But as soon as the company's like performance with marketing goes down, their income goes down and they can't pivot because they didn't develop like the state or the skill to either make more money in that time or just like get on another good offer. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's something we see as well.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
think
I'll go for it.
I was gonna say I think outside looking in, obviously from like the coaching perspective as well, I think that another reason Locky's been able to pick it up so fast is because he's like super suggestible. You know, he'll basically do anything I tell him to do.
Pause.
No, but when like when we give Locky feedback and advice, it's like I won't see the same problem again. His speed to implementation is very fast.
Yep.
And I do think that comes from once again, like obviously learning is a skill, but your state is in a place where like you don't like fear is my answer right or wrong. You don't fear yourself implementing it. You just take the advice on board and start doing it and just trust like, okay, he knows what he's talking about. Let me just do it. And because there's no doubt around the stuff I'm telling you and you do it, it just like fucking works straight away. Whereas other people like you tell them what to do and then they've got like 50 more questions around what you've just told them to do. And it's like I've just fucking told you what to do. And
Mm.
because of that, they end up getting in their own head and it doesn't work, but not because the advice we gave them is wrong. It's because they're not in the right headspace to use the advice we gave them. So
Mm,
that's another reason that you've done so well so fast and why we brought you on to coach and born to close, why we want to help you transition into coaching and making more money through other avenues because we see that it's not going to be very hard to help you with those things,
Mm.
you know?
thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that, Lucky. Like, what's your internal process when Dan or myself gives you feedback to then like implement it? Because I agree with Dan. It's like with a lot of reps, like you see him on a call, you'll say something, the next call, it's like same mistake, the next call, it's same mistake. And it's just like that for like weeks on end. Where it's like you say it one time, and then the next call, like that mistake is just completely eliminated. So like are you like consciously aware of a process you have to make sure you don't make a mistake and make sure you implement feedback? Or what does that look like for you?
I'd say it was probably just my conditioning. Like, especially in sport, you make the same mistake twice, you're on the bench. It's pretty cutthroat. You make the same mistake twice, it leads to a goal, something of this nature. It's obviously you've been told once and you've consciously done the same thing. So, in my opinion, it's one of the biggest signs of lack of intelligence. Like speed to implementation, if that's not high and it takes someone 5, 10 times telling you that is a fundamental flaw. So I wouldn't necessarily say that I consciously think about it whatsoever. If I notice something that I'm seeking an answer for and I ask for it, that to me is the knowledge that I was looking for. And as you guys have seen, not that I disagree, but if I have a question about it, I'm not questioning the answer you gave me, but actually questioning like the process and how we would implement. But as soon as I comprehend it and I'm on the same page and I understand how the feedback comes in, I just do it because
Mm.
I got the answer I wanted. I'm not then second guessing if that's true and going and
Yeah.
asking another mentor online for an answer. No.
Yep, yep. So my question, logging for you is like obviously you're in the sales space, you see what other people do, but would you say you're basically just following one framework and like one
Yes.
ideology when it comes to sales and you're not like mixing a bunch of different things you're seeing?
Yeah, that's right.
Hmm.
I
Like
think
why are you doing that?
because, like in everything, there's people that are going to succeed with lots of different methods. Lots of athletes are different in their own respect. Traders have all different methods that they follow. Likewise, sales, every person is different and every person is going to resonate with something. From the off, obviously, Daniel was the one that trained myself and Vinny in sales originally, and we all resonated as the same people with the same values and same character type, I would say as well. So following Daniel's framework didn't feel like a facade or that I was trying consciously to do something that wasn't natural to me. And don't change what's not broke. I think the quickest way to success in anything is to just watch people who are better than you and copy it.
And would you say now that you've actually done that and you followed like one process that you feel like you are earning like the skill to start adding your own twist to things?
Yes.
Yeah.
What we see, Daniel and I, is like people they skip the step of just doing what we say and following like one structure to a T. They try to like learn this mentorship, learn this from a reel, et cetera, et cetera. And they like skip the step where you just like do one thing really well. Just like in like soccer or boxing, like you learn like one style really well, and
Mm.
then you start, adding different things and stuff like this. So yeah, where are you at now in terms of like now that you've gone through that stage, you're basically in a position where you do feel like you can start adapting it more, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've already like made subtle tweaks and it only reinforces the fact that if you get the outcomes, the way you go about it doesn't matter. And it's also that, like, for example, I've started doing my consequence before future pace, which goes against the typical framework, but my close rate only continued progressing at a natural rate of my development. And I guess that gives me the internal confidence that sometimes you'll get someone come on and throw you something like a fear straight off the rip. And instead of thinking, hold on, mate, give me the fear objection around 15 minutes once I get there in my framework, like that can wait. You just you understand that you don't have to follow it step by step. You're just looking for outcomes in a call. So it's like a flow chart or a maze, and whatever which way you get to the end doesn't matter. So I guess it's reassuring like that.
Good stuff.
All right, cool. Let's see. Logan, anything else you want to say about the journey or Born to Close or anything like this for people listening?
Nah, Daniel and Jack, they're smart, but they're also pretty cool. They're pretty fun to work with, which I think is a really important part because you don't want to work with someone who's a bit of a wanker or that you don't enjoy, and they give time of day to everyone in the group. Now, as a coach, I obviously have admin access and I can see like they're genuinely messaging everyone. And they're always replying. Jack loves a voice memo, so does Daniel. So if this is the space that you want to get into and actually learn from people who obviously are very good at what they do, but genuinely care about your success, like they've both hit their months, their 30, 40, 50K months. They could just do that if that's all they cared about, but they get fulfillment from helping other people win. So I'd definitely say join.
Let's go.
Yeah, mate. Are you talking in Brazil? Are you going to do a speech?
Mate, let's start with my name is Locky in Brazilian. Oh, as in Brazil. Yeah, yeah. I mean, hand me the mic and I might dabble.
All right,
Yeah.
mate. Don't worry. We're gonna do one. I've got a good idea for it. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
A good idea. I think you should do a talk on how being an athlete growing up influenced your state and helped you get faster results in sales, like what you learned that you didn't
Yeah.
know.
And then people
100%.
who aren't athletes, they can like try to extract the principles as much as possible.
Yeah.
Mm,
Sound fun?
sounds very fun. Sounds like something I'm passionate about.
You know how
Nice.
to use PowerPoint?
Yeah, bro. PowerPoint, Google Slides. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I'm a freak in the Google Sheets.
If not, Casper, we'll get Casper to walk you through it.
The data man.
All right, sick. Well, good stuff, mate. It's well earned, well deserved, and I'm sure we'll just see it keep going up. 40K months, 50K months, sales management, making similar numbers, getting other people sick results, like coaching people. So it's very, very good, mate. Keep up the good work.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
I think I guess real quick to end with, I think it was one of our first meetings and afterwards me and Dan were talking, we're like, bro, he's gonna crush it. Like, let's go ahead and like help him out because like you have all the foundational skills, you have like the learning ability. So yeah, as Dan said, like this is just the start. I can see as well you doing sales management, coaching, 100K a month personal, etc. So good stuff, bro.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Jack. Thanks, Dan.